Hello, world. Welcome to episode 2 of the 3FL podcast, centered around faith, family, fitness, love, loyalty, and leadership. I'm your host, Tyler Friend, and today we have a very special guest. I would say a man of a great example of human excellence and servanthood. Not only is he a great mentor to me, but aside from that, he's very loving, very caring, very compassionate, very supportive. I know he's a great husband. I know his wife always talks really good things about him. I know he's very, very, very involved in his children's life, so he's a great father as well. Great leader. Always gives his time to the people, and I just want to recognize you today for all the wonderful things that you've done in my life. I know you're super impactful in the community. So, Ben Marciano.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and it was extremely kind of what you said, and it's very humbling to even hear those things. So I appreciate it. And, God has brought me some pretty great places, and I'm grateful for that. So it's great to be here with you, though.
Yeah, awesome. So today I wanted to go over about 5 years ago is when I met Ben. And, he ended up giving me an opportunity at the place that he owns. It's his own health and fitness. I'm the general manager there now. But ever since then, I felt like when I was a kid, I never had an example to look at or cling to, or besides my grandfather who had just passed away a few years before that, an example of a good role model to follow. And then when I had met Ben, something that always stuck out to me. So I always just paid attention to him a lot. And then, being able to spend time with him, he was able to rub off on me a little bit. And then that's when I was able to kind of get that spark to be a leader and be a better person than what I was, aside from, God delivering me into that situation, for him to just water me and continue to pour into me and always check on me throughout that 5-year process, and just continually today. It's just super important to me, and that's why I just wanted to just kind of shout that out. Ben, what makes you be like that? What makes you want to lead and serve people like that?
Well, it's a lot of great people have been great leaders to me, because you don't start off being a great leader. I think maybe you have some instincts, some things inside, and I wouldn't even consider myself a great leader, but thank God people invested in me, because I was a broken person that just did not know his way, and I also learned from a lot of people on what not to do along the way, but then I had really good people that came around me and guided me. But I think that the more that I grew into what God's purpose for my life is as a person, I think you naturally become that, I think one of the things that for you, Tyler, is this: I could see the goodness in you. I remember, I hope you don't mind me sharing this story, but you started, you were pushing, I remember you pushing you were a janitor at the gym, you were pushing a trash can, and you couldn't even look up and look at people in the eyes. And but I could see your heart, and I remember just spending time with you. You always worked really hard. And, I could probably see in you what you couldn't see in yourself early on, which when I talk to people about me, that's the same thing. I never thought anything of myself, because I had come from nothing. And I always thought of all the things I couldn't do, but good leaders come around you and they tell you all the things you can do. And, so it was an honor to be along for the journey with you and now see who you've turned into. You're just making this huge impact in so many people's lives. And when I think of the things that I'm most proud of, you're one of those things that I'm most proud of, is just to watch who you've developed into, because it's a trickle effect now of all the people being impacted by who you are as a person.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
What you said earlier, right? You're listen, I didn't have a good example growing up. I didn't have the best, people in my life. And the same was for me, right? Whenever I was a kid, it wasn't necessarily where it was terrible terms, but at the same time, I know there was things at home, that was missing, right? And whenever I was able to start working at Zone Health and Fitness, that's whenever people poured into me. There was love there, and it was just that was the thing that the spark that ignited in me, is the fact that there was just support, and there was people that believed in me, like you, and a lot of other leaders as well, that that were able to see something more in me, which is cool to be able to give back now, because it's the same thing,
right.
and being able to just have that impact and really look at somebody's life and what it consists of now, understand why they are the way they are, but then just care about them enough to really just lean into them and then push them over the edge to help them become what they're designed to be. So
Yeah.
another story that I had that I wanted to share was just I went to the hospital last year. I went blind in my right eye. I talked about that last podcast, but I just my number one supporter was you. I know that there were months that I would just act like everything was okay. I would have headaches, but there was no real all-tell sign from the outside until my eye had a 6 cranial nerve palsy, and then it went inward. Whenever you came to my house that day, and then you see me, and you're like, you're not okay. The fact that you called me every day, and when I was and I talked about it last podcast, I was fighting like suicidal thoughts and moments where I just felt hopeless. And I remember there was a moment I called you, and I was like, Ben, I'm not okay. And then it was crazy because like everything happened so fast, where you said something to build me up, tell me don't worry, hold on. And then all of a sudden the pastor calls me, and I know you called him, and that was a moment that day that I was able to find peace. And it's just moments like that. Like whenever you look at somebody, you never forget them.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank you and just and love on you, and recognize you for, all the things that you do behind closed doors. It's in the dark, but I think that if people were able to look at that, they might see another example of like what people should be.
Well, the way I look at you is family, and when you have family that's down or in need, you support them, right? And and it wasn't obviously just me coming beside you during that time. I know you how you feel about the leadership at Zone, and it was great to see everybody support you during that time. And our trials and tribulations are what make us who we are today, right? So that season of life that you went through, and with your eye and the illness, there has been significant growth after that point, because it woke you up to new things. And I've watched you. I believe those moments, and I think even now, like it's crazy, the things that I used to tell you, sometimes you're telling me, and you've even added a twist to it. But I think if we were to look back on your life, on why you went through that moment, we could see it today of how it's helped you grow into even a better leader, a more compassionate person, in some areas of your life that you needed to grow in. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And and a lot of those times whenever I felt like that, and then I had my health neglected. Like so what happened to me is like everything was going smooth, everything happened. All of a sudden, life happened. Your health is stricken from you. I was listening to this audiobook, right? And it's just like left field, but it kind of consists. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and what it talks about is like one of the secrets, or one of the things that the devil tries to do is get you to believe that you have ill health.
Yeah.
And it tries to get in your brain and stress you out and make you live in fear. And I remember the moment right there. That was the moment that I was being attacked by the devil. And then whenever I was able to go through and finally like get to the other side, I realized, well, all throughout the moments I was realizing God was with me, and this was happening for me. It wasn't happening to me, which helped me change my perspective and look at things. But whenever you have your health, get it taken away, and then you get it back. Like there was a moment that I had to look at the situation and say like you're leaving a lot on the table. There's so much more that you're able to do. You have a huge influence and impact in the world. It's just like you're not utilizing it.
Yeah.
And for me to have to sit down, because I think God will, you will get moments where you have opportunities to spend more time with God.
Yeah.
And I think when I did sit down, I was able to see that, and that's when I started really self-developing all the time and just rapidly growing, and then just not accepting like, what everybody else would accept as like what the standard should be.
Right.
And so when my standards changed in my life, I was able to look at other people and say, hey, listen, like you have the same opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's helped me grow so much as well, is just pouring into other people and just a life coaching. I'm super passionate about that. So
yeah, yep, that's awesome.
So couple questions for you. I know we have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to understand like how busy is it on the day-to-day basis of like being like leader of the city.
Sure.
Also having a family.
Yeah.
Obviously there's some type of, how do you stay so calm through it?
Oh, well, maybe I look calm on the exterior, but I'm not calm inside. And it is, I'm wired to, to want to succeed and do good, and I want to help as many people as possible. So I'll tell you, the last year it's been hard, and really going out and wanting to make sure that I'm doing. It's like, I think you and I are a lot alike, Tyler. Like, we're going to try and solve all the problems right away. And so it's been a lot of learning lessons for me in this last year. And, I've had to really focus in on the priorities. What are the priorities that I want to make sure that I accomplish while I'm in office? And because I was getting pulled in so many different directions early on of all the issues, because there are a lot of issues in the community, and I wasn't able to be effective at any. So I had to really define what are my top 3 priorities that I want to focus on. I also had to really start being able to say no, which is hard for someone like me who wants to take care of everyone and essentially a little bit of a people pleaser. But I also had to realize that if I didn't say no, I wasn't going to be effective in what I was doing. And the things that were really important to my priorities were going to suffer. But I'm also blessed, Tyler. I have a really good wife who has been probably my biggest cheerleader. And I believe God brought her to me. A lot of who I am today is because of Danielle. And so when I'm down or I'm off track, she's been a great guiding light for me. We pray every night together. My kids have been super supportive. And then I have really good mentors in my life that I've told them the things that I've struggled with. They know that I struggle with, trying to do everything. They know that I have a hard time saying no. So when they see me get into those habits, they call me on it. And I allow them to call me on it. And I take it as an opportunity for growth. And without that in my life, I don't think I'd be able to be effective. But I also will share with you is that just like you've had seasons of growth, I would tell you this last year, I've also not only grown as a person, but I've grown in my relationship with God because of some of this position requires that you can't do it all.
Gotta seek
and you have to rely on Him. Yeah. And I've had to have a lot of prayer and reliance on Him. So it's been a season of growth for me. I'm grateful for the opportunity. It's funny. I was speaking to my mentor the other day. He goes, he said, Ben, I bet you thought God called you to this position because you're going to do all these great things in the community. And I said, well, I felt like that's why He called me. He was going to use the things I'd been through my past to serve the community. He said, Ben, I think God wants to develop a relationship with you more. And He's going to use this position to help you, humble you a little more so that you grow closer to Him. And then in turn, you're going to do great things for the community. And that's true. Whenever I want to play God, things never go well in my life. Whenever I surrender my will to God and I trust Him and I'm willing to grow, things go really well. And I've seen that over the last year. So.
Yeah. It's funny if I experience just a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is now I feel like my life should have more stress than ever because there's so much going on in it, but it seems like it's actually been most peaceful because of, my disposition and how I've just been able to give things to God and just let go. I think one thing that happened this past year, super, super crazy, was I had a lot of shame and guilt for my grandfather passed away. I wasn't able to say goodbye or whatever. And I was talking to my grandma. We were at my house talking about some stuff. And then there was this voice in me. There was two voices in me. One of them told me to talk about it. The other one told me to be silent. And I almost let the one that told me to be silent, just take control of me at that point. But then when I exercised my voice and I was able to talk about it, say, hey, listen, I still haven't forgiven myself. My grandma was able to say, hey, God forgave you a long time ago. And whenever that happened, it was just that from that day forward, there hasn't been, so much on my back all the time. Or I'm not carrying heavy burdens anymore. And for me to be able to do that is I think, walking without that every day, but also just how I know now when I feel like this, I need to go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
Instead of whenever I feel a certain type of way, control it, try to control the outcome. No, just give it to God. Tell her to stop stressing out about it and move forward. So ultimately, the reason why we have this podcast is the same things that we just talked about. That was a great conversation. It's never scripted.
Sure.
It always just comes out, which I love the most.
Yeah.
But to have somebody, with such, I would say, with a level of love and compassion for the world, and for me to be just close to you it's super important to me. So thank you for everything.
Well, absolutely, man. And again, I'm really love watching you grow. But I want to kind of go back to something you just said. And I think it's important. So essentially, a lot of times when a lot of people have experienced some sort of trauma growing up, right? Most people, there's been things that's happened in life. The problem is when we don't process that trauma. You live in that moment. You build a behavior based off of that moment, and that becomes your personality of who you are in your life. So for you were stuck in that moment from not being there for your grandfather, and you had a lot of shame and guilt, and you lived in that every day. But when you were able to go back and process it and talk about it and hear your grandmother say, you're good, you freed yourself from that moment. We have a lot of people that are walking around like that today. They're living in those past moments and they're not able to see what's directly in front of them and be present. And I've had a lot of that realization over the years. And, it's one of the big things that I'm trying to do is improve the physical health and the mental health of our community. Because if we have both of those, things are pretty good. If you don't have both of those or even just not one of those, that's when life gets really off track. So I think you gave a really good message there of how you can process those things. We're so busy today that we don't want to take time to slow down and look at and go, well, why am I feeling this way? Put really good people around us, even if it's a therapist, that you can talk to help you identify some of those barriers and those past moments that you're living through and then work through them, because then it frees you. That weight is then lifted off your back and you can become who you're designed to be. And I always say it this way, is that you have God, right? You have your heart, and then you have all this garbage in your head that you've built up over the years, right? It's living there. You have to get it out, and when you free it, God can then pierce your heart, and the sunlight of the Spirit comes in.
I love that.
But people live in it, and they never allow it to fully get through. And when you get it out and you process it, you can become who you were designed to be all along. And then you can use those moments that you went through in life to now serve God and serve others. And that's where true freedom comes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because that's basically exactly what's happened. So.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we're going to wrap it up.
Awesome.
Thanks for watching. Listen, if this stuck out to you, if it applied to you at all, if there's anybody else that you know that it applied to, give us a like, comment, share. Please let us know how you feel. Thank you for your support. Everybody that watches it, that does anything for me, like, I love it tremendously. I'm basically stuck right now. I love it tremendously. Listen, I hope you guys have a great week, a great new year. Reach out to me. Any other things that you guys want to hear about, talk about. If you want to maybe get on the podcast, let me know. I'd love to have you. Have a great day.